Hi, I'm Louis Falgu, and welcome to The Music Breakdown. And today, I'm reviewing the new Death Grips album, Year of the Snitch. Now, up to this point, Death Grips have been doing nothing but evolving. From their debut mixtape, Ex-Military, and all the way up to this album, their sound's been evolving in interesting ways, which means that every album is going to feel like its own thing. And last year, the only thing the group dropped was an EP, which was just one 22-minute track. It was like a mega mix of multiple different songs called Steroids. And while this one song was very exciting throughout and managed to keep up a certain level of intensity that was pretty awe-inspiring, I can't exactly say that the aesthetic of the record, and for that matter, any of the individual moments really stood out to me. And I guess it just left me hoping that the next Death Grips album would be a real surprise. It'd be something really fantastic, something new. And as the singles were coming out for this record, I will say that it definitely is different. It is something new. But do I think that's a good thing? The album opens up with the psychedelic Death Grips is Online. This is a pretty great track. I love the way it kicks off the record, and I especially love how full the sound of this song is. And when you do get to these sections where it sounds like you're tripping out, for lack of a better explanation, I find that the psychedelic sound of the song is actually really enveloping. It's like waves of sound coming over you. And then this transitions into Flies, which is perhaps one of their most abstract songs yet, at least since anything off of Government Plates. That being said, I won't say it's anything fantastic. But what is fantastic is the next track, Black Paint, which is this lo-fi, punky, and just super fucking heavy song that reminds me a lot of stuff on Jenny Death. I love the build up to these choruses, and I love the pow 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 lyric for the chorus. It emphasizes the power of the music here. And as a result, Black Paint may be the heaviest song the band's ever done. The song had me hyped for the rest of the album, which I assumed would be paced in a similarly interesting way. Sadly, I was left disappointed after this track. The song Linda's in Custody is so hollow, so thin. It's as if I am listening to this song coming out of a cell phone call. It is not special, and it just feels like a overlong transitional piece. And then the best part about that is that it goes into a song or a track, the horn section, which I suppose is actually supposed to be a transitional piece. So I end up feeling like I've been listening to a transition for well over 5 minutes. And I just have to wonder why this mixing choice? And this is a question I have for a lot of the record after this point. I do not understand why they chose to mix some of the sounds this way. It is like every single song from here on out, there's some kind of sound in there that sounds super fucking thin and super fucking hollow. You know, if not the whole instrumental, at least a sound or two. And what ends up happening is that all of the songs feel like non-songs. I mean, I'll give some credit to Ha 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 because I think that the chorus is also kind of similarly psychedelic to maybe Death Grips is Online, although not nearly as full. The guitar here, again, sounds super hollow, but the chord progression is nice and it's kind of different, I guess. And then we get the song Shit Show, which is just like, why? Okay, I get it. I like the idea of this track. I like the idea that this is like a extremely fucking fast, like hardcore punk, digital hardcore kind of track, and it's so fast they actually sped up Ride's vocals. But because they did that, I really do not care for how just fucking absurd this song sounds. It doesn't have anything holding it together, and it's not that I'm against them doing a song that feels like it's constantly falling apart, and thankfully Shit Show's short, but I just really don't think that this track works in any capacity. It's just bad. Thankfully, Streaky kind of picks up the flow of the album for allowing for a song that has a full range of sonics at least, but it's not particularly good. It's just kind of okay. It's an alright poppier track from Death Grips, almost in vain with like an from Bottomless Pit, although I definitely preferred that track. The lyrics are disgusting, yet catchy. I will admit that the weird wobbly synth line is kind of infectious, but the song hasn't grown on me since they first released it. And then we get Dilemma, which is another track that feels more in vein with something from Jenny Death, whereas in something on Jenny Death would sound heavy and full and it would pack a punch. Dilemma sounds fucking thin as shit. Again, I just do not understand these mixing choices. Why would you decide, or even the recording quality as well, I mean, when you actually get to the hook of this song, the guitar is so thin, it's so hollow, that even though I like the riff, I don't feel like I've actually gone anywhere. It's not satisfying in any way. Little Richard might as well be called Linda's in Custody too. And then The Fear is actually rather interesting. It has the same problems as most of the other tracks I've been talking about, but it's almost like jazz grips, which is, you know, that's different. It's interesting enough. I think that it's a neat experiment, but again, the sound quality, the mixing, it's just not where it should be. Again, I feel like I'm listening to this off of a fucking cell phone. I guess my point is that I just wish everything sounded fuller. And the closing track, Disappointed, which is just garbage. I mean, for one thing, the verses, that is the most annoying that MC Ride has been in a long ass time, with him speaking a word and then shouting it the next, like, half beat. It is so grating, and not in like a good Death Grips grating, like really bad Death Grips grating. And honestly, it's one of the first times that MC Ride's like actually annoyed me. And the hook is such a non-hook. And it sounds thin. It's like it's missing something. It's like it's being played off of some shitty speakers or something. God, Now lyrically on this album, Death Grips is basically just talking about themselves, like the entire time. And when they're not, they're sampling or calling back to previous moments in their discography. So it's like, the album feels very self-referential, and I don't really like that. It's not that I don't like when Death Grips comments on themselves in some way, like on the last album with and Trash, but I don't want that for a whole record. I mean, maybe it's better than like the word salad that you got on most of Bottomless Pit, but I don't know. Like, I'd almost prefer MC Ride to just say a bunch of bullshit than I would for him to be like this topical, but like talking about himself the whole time. It's not to say that I hate that, I just don't really feel that Ride is saying anything interesting about the group or about their fan base. And look, I'm sorry guys, I know I'm gonna be one of the only people who isn't too keen on this record, but I'm just really disappointed. The thing is, I don't think that the record is bad, it's just kind of frustrating because so many of these tracks that had a hollow sound that I complained about are like good songs at their core, or at least like interesting songs at their core. Like Linda's in Custody, for example, has this pretty cool refrain, "Eat it like the devil's cunt." And some other songs have neat lyrical refrains like that and like, you know, solid enough hooks. And yet I don't feel like I'm hearing the whole song. And one of the most frustrating things about this is that I'm pretty sure that this was intentional. Because if you listen to Death Grips is Online or Black Paint, these are really well-mixed songs. I mean, sure, Black Paint's very lo-fi, but it works. But then when you listen to like Dilemma or Little Richard, it's like they must have known that it sounded this way, right? Like they must have intended for that. And I mean, I know that because this is not an incompetent group. Like this Death Grips is not incompetent. They know they can mix an album, all right? Their production has been one of the things that's kept people coming back time after time after time. And I just have to wonder who decided to make it shitty this time. But the album doesn't anger me. I can get a moderate amount of amusement from it. It's kind of interesting. There are a lot of neat little ideas scattered throughout. And I wouldn't say it's a bad album. It's just disappointing. 5.5 out of 10.